So I read a secret book in August that some of my friends who may be watching will probably be teasing me about liking, but I kind of did. So let's let's talk about this. Hello, book friends. Welcome back to the channel. It's Alyssa. Hello if you're new. As you can tell by the title of this video, you know that I read another booktuber's book, and that book was On Sun Swallowing by Dakota Warren. Yes, I broke my no buy. Everybody in my no buy chat can now just yell at me, have fun, enjoy it. But I have been so curious about this creator's collection of poetry, sort of because I assumed this was going to be horrendous. I'm not gonna lie. I thought this was going to be like absolutely atrocious. YouTubers are not exactly well known for having fantastic literary achievements in general. I'm thinking Gabby Hanna, that lovely thing with Rachel Oakes that happened the other year, a couple years ago maybe, and that lovely poetry collection, or is it two collections? I can't recall. Who else had something terrible? Oh, yeah, L'Academy, which brought the wonderful KD into my life. But this, and I don't know if I just have a soft spot for it because I remember being 20 something and late teens and having big feels like this, but I I have thoughts and I didn't hate it. I did not hate this. Is this a stellar, amazing, like life-changing collection of poetry? No, it is not. Is it something that I think the target audience is going to relate to and enjoy? Yes, yes, I do. So let's kind of get into the pros and cons of this collection. And if you don't know who Dakota Warren is, you can go look up her channel. She is a booktuber. She's Australian. She's very young. She's got a sort of Lolita vibe about her. She's often a bit much, but seems to genuinely love literature and words and expressing herself through art in some way, shape, or form, whether it is writing or making videos and little vignettes and sketches, and photography and all kinds of other things. She seems to genuinely be like the artsy chick, just channeling Lolita vibes. I mean, the time she held up a bag of teeth was a moment. That's Dakota Warren. You're either gonna love her or you're gonna hate her. But I mean, I do think she is genuinely channeling a character that embodies some piece of her personality. Does that make any sense? That sounds like I'm insulting her. I'm not gonna insult her. She's a character. Let's put it there. That's the nicest way I can put this. This is a collection of poems about, I'll read you the back actually. Let me read you the back and so you can have in Dakota's own words what she calls this collection. It is a sweet and bloody collection of poetry, prose, and journal extracts dancing in the spaces between girlhood and godhood, satin and switchblades, starvation and damnation. She's like the sugary sweet girl who's going to cut you. So Warren navigates her youth in all things soft and dreamy and delicate, drenched in gasoline and set ablaze. Her sharp lyricism and cutthroat vulnerability dares you to haunt your ghost's back, to relish in duality, dismantle dichotomy, and exist as yourself deliciously, undefinably. Think philosophy between cotton sheets, existentialism cross-legged on the shower floor, cheap cigarettes, even cheaper wine, and an oath to reach hell by midnight and be home in time for work in the morning. And is allegedly blurbed by the devil as the best work yet to come from hell. There is a sense of humor to Dakota Warren that I do appreciate, and this was a Best Poetry Book finalist in 2022 from the illustrious Goodreads. Enough summary. Let's actually talk about like my actual thoughts on this. I guess we'll go into the things I didn't like, and then we can talk about the things I did. Is that better? Is it better to end on the negative or the positive? I'm not sure. You know what, let's start with the positive. We're going to start with the positives. I even have notes. Okay, folks, I made notes. Pleasantly surprised by this collection. I went in expecting it I went in expecting to go all mean girl and like not like this at all and possibly make a video where I rag on it.
That is the ugliest effing skirt I've ever seen.
Kind of like I would love to do with Gabby Hanna's, but Gabby Hanna's fans are scary. I thought this was going to be like Tumblr girl, Instagram poetry, and it kind of is, but it isn't terrible. And I do think that with the right mentor and with time and more practice and like polishing, there could be some really I mean, maybe I feel like you could get a really nice collection out of her, in all honesty. Why am I trying to ad lib this when I have notes? I really didn't think the collection was terrible at all. There are some fantastic lines scattered throughout. There's very vivid imagery and emotions going on in almost all of the poems. This is clearly a girl who has actually had some bad things happen to her, that is grappling with her emotions, that was potentially repressed and is now being set free, which is always a very interesting and beautiful moment. I mean, think about like Night Bitch and how wonderful that book is, and how that book makes you want to like take your clothes off and bite somebody and just howl at the moon. There's like a letting out of the woman that has been repressed that does exist in these poems, in particular around like the poems that talk about her ED or potential ED. I don't know if she's ever admitted to having an ED, but the poems read as somebody who has at least struggled with body dysmorphia. And it's very raw and very open about that, and also about her relationship with religion, and basically just being a young woman in a world that doesn't really like young women, that really just chews up women and spits them out if they don't fit the mold that they want them to fit. I do think there's stuff here that's very relatable, especially for a 20 something woman in this world right now, the way everything is, with the struggles that many of us have at that age. Again, I think there's a lot to relate to. I related to things kind of in a looking back way, in a not nostalgia, but in that looking back and remembering what it felt like to be 20 and lost and expected to be an adult but still a child, but not knowing who you are, struggling with eating disorders. Like I know I've seen that girl in me, and I think there's many of us that have. So I think that there are poems in here that are going to touch people. What I really like about watching these younger creators, especially the female creators, is seeing them explore their personhood, womanhood, their working towards holding on to and finding their agency as a woman, just unabashedly being proud of girly things. I often think about that really famous passage in Gone Girl where Gillian Flynn just talks about like who is a girl, like who is the girl? Like you're gonna change based on what is going to make the person you're with happy. Oh, you like sports? You've never liked sports in your life, but you're gonna love baseball. Are you an introvert? Well, you're going to be an extrovert so that you can keep his attraction. And I know that that's very much about relationships, but I think that it happens in a lot of things. There's a lot of almost code switching that goes on to become palatable and acceptable, and a lot of masking that can occur of who you really are. And I read a lot of literature written by women that speaks to this or addresses it. Again, Night Bitch keeps coming to mind in general because that has such a like fleshy, visceral, bloody kind of vibe, which I think is a very like Dakota vibe. Not that I'm comparing the two works like apples to apples, but I feel like I am predisposed to like things like that, and this feels like a little baby fawn figuring out how to write like Rachel Yoder. You know what I mean? Does that make any sense? I don't know if that makes any sense. My friends are all making fun of me right now. I can feel them behind the keyboards. Like I said before, I do think that with the right like mentoring and practice and maybe workshops, she could become a really interesting writer of unhinged women, of like sort of dark, visceral, like bloody things. I would love to see her maybe take on like horror or something like that, where she could really let go. She seems to really like to play with with the idea of like blood and cannibalism and flesh and visceral, gross things. It could be really interesting to see her grow as a writer. I'm not going to lie. You definitely see her passion for language and finding the right expressions and ways to describe and let out the feelings that she has inside. The way that she puts words together might not always be spectacular, but when she gets them right, I think that they're very good. And I will go through some examples in a minute. I think the mixed media ness of it, there's a lot of photographs in here. She's always kind of naked. It's very like 20 something grew up on the internet, in all honesty. There's a lot of like mixed media throughout, which I think is very, you know, I'm 20. It's fine. Uh, some of the photographs are actually very pretty, and like that's a very pretty sunset. But it did make it unique. It's definitely not like a lot of other self sort of published poetry collections that come out. So I did enjoy that element of it, even if it's not like my favorite thing. I don't think it added anything really to the collection other than to just make it a little different, but it didn't really impact the actual writing, I think, in any way. But I mean, it was cool to have. And I kind of want to read one of the poems that I think was probably, I have a bunch of them flagged. One that I think was kind of well done. It's called Pas de deux. I lost everything I love, but I started dancing again. My bones still pop and suck like quicksand. My pirouettes still veer to the left. And I still don't think before I speak, but my hair is strawberry blonde now, and I have stopped telling lies. I think you'd be proud of me for that. My ballet teacher taught me even falling should be graceful. I actually thought that was very well done. Is it earth shattering? No. There's also every chance that I was absolutely hormonal when I read this. So this is a bit melodramatic, but I think that it plays really nicely. I asked you why you kept a switchblade in the back pocket of your baby blue jeans when you left to go get milk, and you shrugged just in case as you poured too much milk in my coffee. The coffee still burned my gums, and you still kissed me goodbye, only this time a little longer. Was that just in case? You are black coffee, bitter lemons, toothpaste stains, cigarette kisses, and you are just in case. I am pine wood, chest pains, poisoned apple, dog-eared pages, and I am the switchblade in the back pocket of your baby blue jeans, sharp and made for hunting. I do think there's I think it would be interesting if she actually went to like workshops and worked on this because there's some interesting things in here. God is a cocktail on a Saturday night. I drunkenly asked for the definition of God, exhaling the request with cigarette smoke. She replies, God is a cocktail on a Saturday night. He replies, God is a whiskey sour telling me to do bad things. She replies, God is an exploding star. He replies, an exploding star that became a cocktail 4.5 billion years later. I furrow my brows and finish my half full vodka martini in one long sip. I reply, Your God lies in my stomach, and I think I'm going to throw up. Like, that line is fantastic. Your God lies in my stomach, and I think I'm going to throw up. I think that, like, those are the little one-liners that I'm like, "Ooh, maybe she can polish some stuff up and make something good." I learned that memories cannot be made when I lock my bedroom door. I learned how to love a girl gently, and now I never want to leave. I learned of the transition from hating your mother to pitying her. I learned that the dogs guarding the gates of hell are the furthest thing from evil. They are only doing their jobs. I learned that I should not have caffeine. I still consumed copious amounts of caffeine. I learned the Australian sun is angry and out for blood. I learned I am the villain the civilians secretly root for because they are tired of all the goodness. I learned to stop running from myself. In all honesty, I mean, I think it could be like so much worse. Forget me not. My seed was planted in a bed of generational lies, and that's nothing against my mother. It still doesn't matter where I was planted. Hell, it doesn't matter where I bloomed. It matters where the children pluck me from my waist and pull my petals till I tell them they're loved back. Like, I don't think that last stanza it was very good, but those first two were like, that's a good start in my humble opinion. What the hell do I know? But there were things that I just don't think were great. A lot of the poems, they have these moments of really just great lines, but all together, they needed some more editing, some more rounding out, some more fleshing out. Some of the form that the poems take are a little contrite and a little contrived and like just sort of silly. This stinking psychopop, some succubus. Why does it have to be a heart? I kind of hate that. I hate that so much. Tumblr post, right? Dislike. The parts that surround these great little like lines or like the couple poems that I feel like work really well as a whole are kind of Tumblr-y, like Tumblr, which again is not like a negative thing. It's just I feel like this is somebody who really wants to write like literature and be of a certain caliber, and I just don't think it's quite there yet, but I don't think that it's without promise. One of the things that I really was kind of disappointed in is she talks a lot about like rot. So there's a lot of mentions to rot. I am rotting. I am filled with rot. Rot, 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 rot. Everything is rotting. But there is lacking a follow through with that, making it like tangible and like have you feel it with all your senses. If you're gonna lean into this idea of mixing like the soft and the vile, I want you to lean into the vile, like really lean into it. Make me smell and taste and feel and cringe from the rot. Don't just tell me that you're rot. Um, and that's the kind of stuff that I'm like, if she has the right workshops and she gets the right mentoring and she really does work at this, I think there is the potential to make something kind of good that maybe could be like published by a real publisher. But yeah, I was surprised. I was honestly surprised. Is it melodramatic? Yes. I mean, it's broken into 3 parts. The first part is for Sylvia Plath and has a Sylvia Plath quote. The second part is for Kafka, and the third part is for Nietzsche. And I just, it's just so like predictable. Like you're selling the soul to the devil. Like but there's also some humor in this. I think the blurbs on the back are kind of funny from the devil and an anonymous Tinder match. Like there is some humor here. I think there is some ability to self-reflect and see flaws and grow and change. I'm going to keep going back to Gabby Hanna, but I think the problem with people criticizing somebody like Gabby Hanna's collection of poetry was that I don't think that she's capable of seeing that it's not perfect, that they are not perfect, that there is room for growth and criticism. And I feel like, at least from the little glimpse of Dakota Warren through reading these poems, I think there is the ability to see humor in things, to take critique and understand that there is room for growth and perfecting of things, and that it didn't come out fully formed and perfect. And now I know what this is about, because when you randomly watch a couple of her videos and in one she pulls out a bag of teeth, she seems like a little kooky. But you know, you kind of want to go like, what is this kooky person writing? Like, what are they thinking? And I feel like a poetry collection can be incredibly personal and raw and can open the door to understanding people someone a bit more and their inner thoughts and feelings and emotions. And I think that does that here. And I was not disappointed. Do I have a star rating for it? I will probably put one on Storygraph at some point, but it's irrelevant. I didn't hate this. It was readable. It was kind of enjoyable. It was nice to have glimpses of the feelings I used to have at that age and feeling how much more sort of stable I feel now. Not that I feel all that stable, but there's like a growth that has happened for me as an older lady person on the internet. And like I said, I like that there is this younger generation of women very much exploring their ability to be the kind of woman they want to be and not being as beholden on the societal expectations of what you're supposed to be as a woman and pushing back on that with even more vehemence than maybe like we did in the past. So I didn't hate it. It will exist in my collection and yeah. I don't know why it feels so weird to review this. I think maybe because I know Katie was looking through my um I know Katie was looking through my wish list a little bit ago because I want to give away, and he was like, "Why do you have this on there?" And I felt like somebody had found like something I was hiding in my underwear drawer, which I guess for the lady who keeps a pair of underwear on the lamp behind her in most of her videos, that's an appropriate feeling. But yeah, I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it. I think there's promise, there's potential. Yeah, that's it. I'm done. Thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe. And I will see you in my next video, whatever it may be, because it's my channel and I can do whatever I want. Bye.
So just sit with me, talking to the night until the morning, building chemistry. I don't think I ever wanna go come closer next to me. Trying to find another way to say this, but I think we were meant to be.